Honestly, I was one of those kids, like growing up. Like
Mhm.
I knew about Jack State, obviously, the family ties, the church ties,
Mhm.
and it was interesting too because I don't know how much people did it at church for you, but for me, it was like they were kind of beating me in the head with the HBCU thing, and I was
Mhm.
just so against it, honestly, because I didn't know about the opportunities in engineering specifically. Because like you
Mhm.
said, certain schools, their bread and butter is certain type of majors or certain type of career paths, and so
Mhm.
I didn't know about certain ones like the North Carolina A&Ts or like the Gramlings or like the Howards, like specific engineering majors they're like actually excel at. And if I would have known that then, I would have put in applications for those instead of trying to go basically to all the different PWIs. But the branding aspect and being able to push more of those opportunities that are actually out there is something that I'm been interested in since I was at state, and that's why it's now big for me to try to weave my way into those spaces in the background of like, hey, like going to HBCU is just as good as going to a PWI, and sometimes those opportunities for like how you've had your path, it's probably better at a HBCU. Once you finally do get to that path of getting into graduate school somewhere or being able to go to a career path, so it's something that takes a lot more work that I know a
Mhm.
lot of us, especially people our generation, they're willing to do. But I think it's a matter of kind of like we were saying earlier, just that reach back, that investing back into the community of like, hey, there's plenty of options out here and you don't have to really focus on just the PWI here or like the local big university here. Like there's 3 or 4
Mhm.
HBCUs locally or nationally that you can probably go to that'll definitely help you get to where you want to go to.
Definitely, and I'll say this: funny experience I've had since I've been at Georgia Tech, especially with like the BGSA, Black Graduate Student Association. We have like this thing we call First Friday. So first
Hmm.
Friday of every month, we go out to some random event. Sometimes it's just food at a restaurant. Other times it might be like bowling. Could be any different activity that might be happening locally. And one time we were at a restaurant, and you're meeting with people, you're mixing, and you start to realize just how many people are from HBCUs.
Mm.
And you start saying, okay, so you went to Hampton, you went to Howard, I went to Jackson State, you went to A and you went
Hmm.
to A&M, you did, and it's like you start looking, and it's like, dang, the majority of our table is actually
Mm.
HBCU alums, actually, and it's kind of interesting, and maybe part of it's by chance that hey, you have a bunch of people that went to HBCU, so naturally when they're in a PWI institution, when they're in a PWI, they're looking for that black space because it's what they're
Yeah,
accustomed
yeah.
to. So, on one hand, they're more likely to maybe show up, but I'm looking and I see so much greatness. I'm like, dang, it's some really, really impressive people. And, their stories, their goals are not the things that we necessarily always see in black men and black women. And I'll say this, and this is maybe my biggest thing with people on like HBCUs. Of course, go wherever makes you happy. I'm not here to
Yeah.
tell anyone to do
Yeah.
anything that doesn't make them happy. But I think black spaces or black environments do have a very special way of kind of pulling out the best in you. There was nothing I didn't think I could do when I left Jackson State or
Mm.
whatnot. There was nothing that I was afraid of. There was nothing. Now, some of that just might be my personality, but it's like when you're in an environment where your instructors or a lot of your even peers around you, like everybody thinks you're great. And that's been what it's been since you showed up here.
Hmm.
At a certain point, you start to really believe it. Like maybe you're crazy enough to really believe that
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
so great. And I would say you end up coming across people that have been in those black environments and their confidence is just on a whole nother level. And then maybe I've met people that were from different environments. Maybe it's related to their natural personality, but maybe the environment also impacts it too. Maybe they're also great and you just see them speak about themselves and they don't sound quite as confident. They don't sound like they really believe. And I think that's something HBCUs definitely excel in. And that was definitely my experience. And I know a lot of other people where it's kind of been their experience. But teach its own, I would always
Hmm.
say. And there's no excuse not to be great, no matter where you go. And there's no excuse not to be great.